This is Modern Persian Food,
a culinary podcast for today's food enthusiast.
We talk about classic Persian flavors,
modern recipes,
and embracing culture and identity through food.
I'm Bita.
And I'm also Bita.
Welcome to our show.
Let's talk about how to set up your Persian style picnic, what to pack, and I think most importantly, what to eat.
Yes, we're going to help you guys elevate your picnic game and make it super special and unique with some Persian twists and turns and easy ways that you can pack your little picnic basket or your baby carriage if you're in that stage of life. I love your perspective that it takes the pressure off. You don't have to have a perfect house or be the perfect hostess when you're doing it outside. And that's a great way to think about it. So yeah, let's talk about setup.
So if I think back to classic style picnics growing up, and when you kind of think of a classic Persian style picnic, this might be funny to you, but I think about a big fat Persian rug.
Oh.
People would bring a rug out to the picnic and have it as the base of the picnic. I'm not talking about your very delicate silk Persian rug. I'm talking about kind of a little bit more of the hardier wool knotted Persian rugs, the big ones that you have in the living room, is to bring one of those out and you put that down, and it's perfect because it doesn't start rolling up on the sides. The wind doesn't take it. Kind of has a nice firm base. And so I love having a big flat rug on the ground.
Oh, that's cool. Does that memory come from Iran?
No, that comes from here. I remember going to the park in Corte Madera with my family, and then they would bring a rug, and it was just kind of an easy way for everyone to sit at and play some games on and have a picnic on. So that's one thing that when I think about for setup, that's kind of nice. And if you don't want to bring a rug out, some sort of blanket or picnic setup, that's something that you can put on the ground. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we'll have a little bit of a tarp underneath our blankets to keep it from getting wet, but just something that people can kind of lounge around and relax on.
Yeah, totally. I think this comes from back when we had young kids, is that, I would usually just find an old comforter or an old blanket that I didn't care about it, getting dirty. And that would be what we would lay down. And also, sometimes I'd have these cool ones that had vinyl on one side and blanket on the other side. And then you could, with Velcro or snaps or something, take off the blanket part and wash it if needed. And the sort of vinyl-y waterproof side would be on the grass or on the part that could potentially be wet. Those were really neat, and they'd fold up really nice. These days, maybe a different stage that I'm in, I have teenage and young adult kids. We have these really cool, I think they're tapestries, and they're really beautifully designed. It's not that thick. It's more or less like a sheet. I have a purple one that, the girls are no longer using in their bedroom decor. The once upon a time they had put it up on their wall. I put that down it's really big as my first layer. Our picnics these days are a lot of times either on the grass overlooking the ocean or actually on the beach. So I'll put the purple sheet thing down first as the base, and then I'll put these orange big beach towels down, and it's really aesthetically beautiful. And then we just kind of go from there.
Yeah, I mean, with a setup like that and those bright colors, how could you go wrong? And I love that, actually, that tarp, that tapestry that you're talking about for the sand, because the sand kind of just shakes right off of it. So that's a great idea. I love that.
Of course, towels are easily washable too.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great foundation and base. And let's start building up from there. So what I love doing is bringing a table.
Yeah.
And I gifted myself a small picnic table for one of my early Mother's Days on behalf of my little toddler child at that point. But it's a small table. It's 1.5 feet tall, and it's 2 feet by 2 feet, and the legs screw on and off, and it comes in like a carrying bag. And I love it. It's perfect height. You can sit on the ground, and then the table is at a perfect height for you to have all the picnic foods on it. Or if you want to have kind of a bigger gathering, you can bring one of a folding table and bring that out and pop that up. And then you kind of have a designated area for your food and drinks that's not going to topple over if someone walks around or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, you can go as simple or as ornate as you want. I love that idea about bringing your own table. Living here in Orange County on the gorgeous coastline, we are lucky that we sometimes get to witness some wedding proposals. And we recently got to see one, and it was a teepee set up with some flowers on the top, and then a short table and fresh flowers. And I mean, it was a proposal. There was a sign that said, "Will you marry me?" But yeah, like you can go as big or as small as you want. And I love it that you bring your own table.
Totally. And that actually reminds me, like a lot of times in, Golden Gate Park here that we frequent often, I've seen kind of setups. I've seen actually like a team, like a company, like, a few people coming and setting up a beautiful picnic. And then in that example, like, yes, they had like a big rug. They had kind of like a mini version of a picnic table. And on there, this company had brought out like real candelabras and real like serving dishes and like a little mini like tiered cake stand. So I think if you're going to look to elevate your picnic game, that there's a lot of kind of opportunity to add these really special touches to make it super unique and just like its own event, not just like, oh, we're just going to go. It's like, let's go and have like a really great time.
Yeah, I love the colors. Personally, that's how I make it inviting and fun, is to try to bring in bright colors. But pillows, I've seen people bring like pillows. And again, we're living in a time of social media. So a lot of these ones I see, I'm like, okay, like they're just setting this up to take the pictures and the videos. So obviously we want to encourage you just to do it. So yeah, for me, sometimes I don't have a baby stroller, but sometimes I'm just throwing stuff. I have a dog stroller. I have tiny dogs and I have a dog stroller, and I'm putting things in the basket underneath the dog stroller, and whatever I can fit in there is what I'm taking to my picnic.
Yeah, that's a good point. Getting all of your material there is kind of like a big issue. So yes, can be a big issue depending on how elaborate you want to go.
Right.
I have a wagon. We have a folding wagon that we use. And that's like my favorite thing for a picnic, is because you just pile up everything in the wagon and then pull it to wherever you want to make camp. And then we have like actually it's kind of like a camping rolling table that we screw the legs in, and you just like throw that over your shoulder or throw some like, folding chair type of picnic camping chairs over your shoulder, and you got the wagon, and that's great. If you don't have a wagon, another thing you could do is like some sort of like box or something like that you can kind of have everything in all at once and just kind of bring it all out to the picnic site that you want to do.
On my list is one of those wagons, and I know that there are a bunch of places that have them, and they've gotten really nice now. Wagons you can take to the farmer's market or flea market or whatever market you go to, and to the picnics, and they fold up. And you can put them in your car and you drive to the place if you're driving to your picnic location, and then pop them open and load it with the stuff. I, to be totally frank, just use huge bags. So it works. And then the coolers. So if we transition on to coolers, we have a bunch of coolers of all different sizes. And the cooler technology has gotten really good. They can get quite pricey, but I have found knockoffs of the fancy coolers that really still, do the trick.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do for coolers?
We have like a couple different sizes. We'll break out the big cooler if we're having like a big party, like if we're having like an event.
Yeah.
And then we'll bring the cooler and have that full of ice and drinks and things like that. And we have a smaller one that when we have an event, we kind of like to differentiate which cooler has more alcoholic beverages versus more family-friendly beverages. So we like to have kind of the two different coolers. If I'm just doing something small, we have like kind of like these insulated like lunch bag type of things that we kind of load up.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, it's nice to be able to have like a nice cold drink.
Exactly. There is setup and packing and stuff and effort, and that's why we took the time to make it happen. So hopefully that was helpful.
Absolutely. Because, some of those things do get a little bit intimidating. So if we can just really streamline and prepare some things in advance, it's kind of easier to just grab them all when you're ready and go.
Yeah.
Let's get into the juicy, delicious foods that we're going to talk about. So, your picnic can take a lot of different forms. You can do kind of like big grill style picnics, or you can do more intimate things, or you can do like everyone brings their own. But to me, one thing about a picnic is that the foods are more individualized. So you can get whatever it is that you're eating, you can hold it in your hand and you can chow down on it. And it's not like you don't have to worry so much about all the different utensils. And it's easier, I think, for serving and also for consuming.
Sandwich. Sandwich is my silly way of saying it with a Persian accent, a sandwich. And to me, yeah, That's the simplest way. And that's what I did with my daughter. We picked up sandwiches. We each got our own sandwich. Okay, we called it a picnic. We got fun drinks. We got some kombucha, and we set up our pretty setting, and we had a sandwich picnic. So it could be as simple as that. But let's get into the Persian stuff.
So Persian style. So one thing that I love are little kuku wraps. Cook a big kuku, and I cut it up in advance. And what I love to do is to toast up some tortilla or lavash bread. And I wrap each piece of the kuku with a little bit of the toasted bread. And then I'll put a few slices of radish or cucumber or something like that into the little wrap. And I have like these little individual wraps that I present like on a big platter.
Yeah, and for our listeners that might be new to us, kuku is a Persian dish made primarily of herbs, so many herbs, delicious Persian spices, eggs. It's almost like a Persian herb frittata. So yeah, cool way to do that.
Yeah, vegetarian way to do that. So that's a favorite thing to do. You could also do like individual like kotlet. Those are like the little fried potato patties. And I would say like using the same type of bread with like a bunch of fresh herbs in there, really like making it like a delicious little wrap. I think that's a fun way.
Yeah, even a meat kotlet or a meat substitute kotlet would be wonderful. That came to mind for me is you could make it into a sandwich or you could also just eat them because I consider that to be like a finger food. Kotlet.
Speaking about meats, if you're looking for a classic style Persian sandwich, there's a mortadella sandwich, which I love. Definitely need to have some Persian style pickles with the mortadella. And that could be like on a nice roll or some sort of like really delicious bread that you could have. So that's a favorite. And I think that my favorite thing to have as a Persian picnic is to have little salad olivieh sandwiches or rolls. I love making them with like this split top buns that you see that like lobster rolls are made out of. Just top it all off with salad olivieh. And if you want to get like extra credit, you can bring a whole bowl of salad olivieh to the picnic. And I'm sure that your guests will all be really excited about that.
Yeah, and salad olivieh is kind of like a potato salad, but better. It has a sour flavor with the pickles and chicken. It has chicken in it, and usually it has potato, carrot, green peas. That's what mine has, and whatever you use for the sauce, mayo, mustard. Delicious in a sandwich.
It's like a chicken / potato / egg salad served cold or room temperature. It's definitely a crowd pleaser. Every time I make that, people are loving it.
Let's not forget the sides. So I think fruit is a really easy side. And I like to make little fruit kebabs. And this is fun if you have any kids or toddlers to put chunks of fruit, melon, grapes, strawberries, almost any fruit will work on a little wooden skewer and then make them in advance. And they're, again, finger food that's really easy to pass out.
I love that because I think that when you bring fruit, I think it's super handy to have it all prepped and ready to go. So you could do that like as a kebab form, or what I love doing is like having cut watermelon or like other types of melons, cantaloupes, and having it all cut and ready to go so people can just grab it and just start eating it. Also things like tangerines or bananas that are like, kind of self-contained, and then people can just open their individual ones as they want.
Yeah, and on the topic of melon is a big Persian fruit, a very well-loved Persian fruit. I have a melon baller. I'm not sure if you have this tool, but it's just a way to make a ball as you're opening your melon. And then what I'll do is I'll just have a big bowl of the melon balls and some toothpicks. So that's a fun way too. Yeah, so what do you like to do for drinks?
Drinks, I think that a lot of time a Persian style picnic will have tea. Bring like a big thermos of hot tea if you want to have it. Don't forget the sugar cubes. Or what I love to do too, depending on kind of the crowd that's going to be there, is to actually make iced tea. And I will just use a few tea bags, to be honest with you, and get a few big mason jars and make iced tea. I typically make it the night before and I chill it so that the next day it's cold and I don't have to worry about like cooling it down, and then it's ready to go. I just kind of grab that and throw that into either my cooler or with the rest of the stuff. And I really enjoy some sort of tea with my picnic.
I love that. Our family really likes Arnold Palmer's. You could do your version of the Persian tea and then just put in a couple splashes of lemonade. Yum. I love it.
Exactly. And if you want to kind of like, go a little bit more fancy, you can always grab a bottle or two of your favorite adult sparkling beverage, and you can spike your tea or your Arnold Palmer, or just have, cans of whatever it is that you like to drink.
I think it's fun to, have a variety of drinks, and it doesn't have to be Persian, of course. They have so many kombuchas now. They have spiked kombuchas, but let's talk about a Persian thing. Sekanjabin. Can you tell our listeners what that is?
Yeah, sekanjabin. So sekanjabin is basically like a dressing of sorts that you serve and you eat with the traditional way is with romaine lettuce. You can also make the sekanjabin into different types of drinks, or use it even as like a salad dressing if you really want to be very innovative. What you do is you get these romaine lettuce, and you can kind of get smaller like gem lettuce and kind of have it individual style, or you get the big romaine and kind of cut them into halves or quarters. It's kind of like a deconstructed salad. You take the lettuce, you kind of wrap up the lettuce, and you dip it into the sekanjabin, usually served in like a shallow bowl, and you dip it and then you put it in your mouth.
Last summer, I made some, and I did it the way that you described with the iced tea. I saved it in big mason jars. It's so delicious. If you grew up eating sekanjabin the way Bita described with the lettuce, the drink is so delicious, and you can spike it too. It's sort of like a mojito. So you basically, I think you make a simple syrup, and the differentiator is it has vinegar, and then it definitely has mint. We served it up with some ice. Some people make it with sugar, some people make it with honey.
And that's a fun thing to take too. That's like a very different, if you're not Persian and you haven't had sekanjabin, you'd be like, oh, what is this? And what is this kind of like ritual associated with it? It's nice to have the individual little bowls so that people can kind of use their own little dipping bowls, but it's a delicious little treat.
It's very refreshing on a hot day, and hopefully we'll get some of those sooner than later.
So if we talk about dessert, you can do a variety of things. You could bring your favorite dessert from your favorite bakery. You can bring little Yazdi cupcakes. Bita makes like a really great one. It's basically like kind of a vanilla type of cupcake that has cardamom and rosewater flavorings in it. Bita, am I butchering that too much for the cake Yazdis?
Nope, you got it. All the Persian flavors, cardamom, rosewater, saffron.
So good. But I have an idea.
Okay.
For your next little picnic, pack up a small cooler, fill it up with ice, and put Persian-style ice cream sandwiches in there.
I love it.
They have them at some different varieties at your Persian market. I think you can even order some online. Get those and wow all your friends with a delicious Persian dessert.
I'm a big cookie girl, so I'd probably bring cookies, any kind of cookies, to my picnic for dessert. But this has been fun. We hope we gave you some inspiration, start to finish, from setup to what foods to bring, drinks and desserts.
And just a final note, if you want to really go Persian, up your Persian game, you will take a game of backgammon with you and set up backgammon or some cards. Enjoy the whole afternoon sitting outside playing games and maybe munching on some tokhme, which is some pumpkin seeds.
Yes.
Enjoy your time. Enjoy the summer, everybody. Hopefully everyone will have a great summer with lots of outside time, happy and healthy. And we look forward to actually sharing some really great content coming up this summer with you guys. We're excited for some series that we're working on. So stay tuned and more to come.
Yes. More sunshine. All right. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Modern Persian Food Podcast with Bita and Bita. Thanks for spending time with us. If you've enjoyed what you heard today, consider telling a friend or giving us a good rating. You can subscribe to our show for free on your favorite podcasting app, or find us online at modernpersianfood.com or on Instagram for the recipes and information we talked about today. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and see you next time.